Hello, social media marketing students. We are on week 5 of 8, and I'm going to go through kind of what we covered last night. And yeah, let's do it. So we had a guest speaker come in. Her name was Patricia Isdahl, and she's a digital marketing specialist at a company called Creative Works. And man, she was just full of knowledge about how digital marketers work and how what SEO is and how it how they do it in real world applications. And that was a lot of fun. I'll post the video of her speaking, and you'll get a feel for that. She confirmed a lot of what we learned from our previous guest around digital marketing, around salaries and work and all that stuff. So really cool. Yeah, watch the video. I'll post it, and you guys can check it out. Hey, then we skipped over a bunch of stuff, and we got into your blog project. And we looked really deeply at something called SEO, search engine optimization. And we're gonna build this into your blog, and you'll see why that's important in a few minutes. All right, well, hey, let's jump down and look at that as a way to start. So the question I have for you is, how do search engines work? So a search engine is Google or Bing. These are search engines. This is what we call search engines. My question is, how do they work? Well, here's how they work. A user will go to a search engine and they'll type in the keywords that they want to search for. So in my case, how to run a marathon. Now, the search engine uses we call them spiders, but they're crawlers. They're algorithms that go out and scan every single web page on the internet. We're talking billions of web pages. And they bring back the returns of the websites that they think are going to, answer your question. So how do search engines work? Well, they go out and they return all websites with relevant keywords. Okay, so that's step number 1. But here is the important step. The important step is that the search engine ranks websites to give the user the best results. So Google's whole goal is to give you the most beneficial result up top, up here. And then as they go down, they want to give you less beneficial results. And so it's in this right here that we digital marketers are concerned. How does Google rank content? So how do you get your website to rank high? That's the question. That's the question. How do you get your website to rank high in Google so that you're up here? And if you're down, if you're on page 6, how do you get your content to raise up so that you're not on page 6, you're on page 1? And you're not just on page 1, but you're in the top 3 of page 1. How do you do that? Well, first of all, why is it important? So check this out. This is the percent of traffic by Google results. So in other words, the first position, so this position right here, the number 1 top position, gets 35% of the clicks. Ooh, interesting. So 35% of the clicks go to the person in position 1. Position 2, so that would be this position, they get about 18% of the clicks. Position 3 gets about 12%. Position 4 gets about 8%, and you can see it just goes down, down, down. By the time you get to position 11, you're getting like 1% of the clicks. So as you can see, if you want a lot of people to see your content, you got to be in like the top 3 positions. So how do you do that? That's the question, right? Well, you have to understand how Google sets up their algorithms. And what they look for are signals. We call them signals. So Google has a bunch of signals in their algorithm that they're looking for, and they're all around quality. So you're going to see that as I go through them right now. So there's over 200 signals, but I'm just going to show you maybe the top 5 or 6. All right. Well, we start with this. Here are the first 2 search results for my search query, which is how do you run a marathon? So I typed into Google how to run a marathon, and I get back number 1 and number 2. Now I want you to notice what's in these. We call this the title and the description. The title has our keywords: marathon, how to run a marathon. And the description has the keywords: running a marathon, marathon. So signal number 1 is that your title and description contains the keywords relevant to the way that people are searched for them. All right, let's move on. Number 2, Google goes out and literally reads your web page. Now, a person doesn't do that, but their crawlers, their algorithm comes out and it reads your content. Well, they're looking for, if your search term is how to run a marathon, they're looking for keywords that they would expect to find in a post about running a marathon. So training, marathon, training runs, race day success, training volume, injury. These are all keywords. We call them LSI keywords that signal to Google that what you're writing about is relevant to the keyword topic. And so again, you can use these LSI keyword generators, and then you can kind of work these into your writing. So signal number 2 is that you have your LSI keywords in your body. So we got keywords in the title description. We got LSI keywords in the text body. Ooh, here's another really important one. Let's say that this is your website. Google counts the number of reputable websites that link to your website. So if your website is how to run a marathon, if there was another website around that was like Nike or some a university sports team, reputable websites, if they mention you and link to you saying like, hey, you got to check out this blog on how to run a marathon, and they link to you, we call that a backlink, and Google counts those. The more you have, the more reputable your page looks, and that's a signal. So having many reputable websites linked to your site, we call that backlinks. So we got keywords in the title description, we got LSI keywords, and we got backlinks referring to your site. Well, here's another one. Here's another signal of quality. If you structure your website where you have your pillar page talking about your topic, how to run a marathon, and then that pillar page links to these other topical pieces like how to eat for a marathon, how to dress for a marathon, how to protect against injuries, and you have these actual links, Google can, when it reads your website, it understands your site architecture, and that's a signal of quality. So another signal of quality are these internal links that you're going to create. Ooh, here's a big one. Page loading speed. Page loading speed. That's really interesting. Obviously, Google wants to promote pages that load very fast, and it wants to de-promote or push down websites that don't load fast. Now, there's three metrics that Google uses to measure your page loading speed. One is called contentful paint. Long story short, what this is it looks at your website and it looks at the biggest element, like this big picture, or there could be a video down here, and it counts in time how long it takes to load that biggest piece of content. And obviously you want to get this down because, if it takes too long, the user is not going to have a good experience, and Google's going to de-promote your website. The second one is first input delay. So imagine having like some kind of like text box down here where the user can input information, their email address, comments. Google measures how long it takes before the user can actually start typing in that user box. And they call that first input delay. And then the last one is cumulative layout shift. Have you ever went to a website and it takes a long time to load, and while it's loading, things are kind of shifting around the page? Well, we want to reduce that, and so they measure that with cumulative layout shift. Long story short, we want to optimize our page so that our loading time is as fast as possible. All right, next, imagine that a reader goes to Google, they type in how to run a marathon, they see your result here. Now, Google measures something called click-through rate. Click-through rate means how many people are clicking on your link. And obviously, when you get a high click-through rate, that sends a signal to Google that your website is legit and that they should raise it. So we want to optimize our title here and our description to make it really attractive to people so that they'll want to click on it. So click-through rate is another signal. All right, well, hey, once they click on your link and they get to your website, Google measures the time on site. So are people spending 10 seconds on your site and then bouncing to another one? Or are they spending 10 minutes on your site and really reading it? The higher this is, time on site, the longer people spend on your website, the Google knows that, hey, this is really good content. I'm going to push it up. So time on site is another signal of quality. So guys, long story short, all of these signals, keywords, LSI keywords, backlinks, internal links, speed of loading, click-through rate, and time on site, when you optimize your website for those, all of a sudden you'll see your website start to rank higher and higher and higher. And remember why that's important. Because if you're the 20th ranking, so you're way down here, you're getting like 0.5% of all clicks. What? That's not much. So you want to rank higher, so that you can get a higher percentage of clicks. So guys, that is how to optimize your site at a high level. So what does that mean in terms of what does that mean in terms of your blog? Let's go look at your blog here. So I'm going to come out to create pillar content, and let's go look at our instruction rubric. All right. So, you're working on all this. Step 6 is to optimize for SEO. So here, that is, obviously using your LSI keywords. Then for your backlinks, well, here, let's go down here first. So here, I've opened this up. So before I close these off, or in other words, I wasn't requiring these last week, but this week I'm requiring them. And so here's what that's going to look like. You're going to add a Google description to your website. And there's ways to do that. Let's see if I can quickly find. So whatever website builder you're using, you click on you got to do a Google search and figure out how to add a Google description and title. So Google description, title, and Google and description with keywords. So you're going to add a Google title and description with keywords. You're going to add your keywords to your URL. You're going to use LSI keywords in your text and body. Now, for external links, these again are called backlinks. For external links, what I want you to do is this. I want you to identify at least 3 reputable websites who you would ask a backlink from. So if I was doing this from like a running marathon perspective, how to run a marathon, maybe I'd want to get a backlink from a university's track and field or club. So I would email them and say, hey, I wrote this blog. Would you mind linking to it in your content? Now, you don't actually need to reach out to any of these people. I just want to see who you would think about asking for backlinks. Now, it's tricky because you don't really ask your competition for backlinks because most of the time they're your competition and they're not going to want to give you backlinks because that could promote your website over theirs. So we wouldn't ask our competition for that. We got to be a little bit more creative. And so that's the idea. And then with your internal links, we're going to be doing that with your cluster content next week. So don't worry about that. So long story short, guys, I just explained what search engine optimization is. I explained the top signals that Google uses to rank content. And then I'm having you build this into your blog. Lastly, there is for the above and beyond or be brilliant for this, student added a hero image to the attention area. I want you to go out and Google what a hero image is on a website and read a little bit about it and see if you can employ it, because that will get you the be brilliant for this one. All right, guys. Hey, that was a lot of information, but man, you now know how Google and Bing and search engines rank content based on keywords, and you know why that's important, because the higher you're ranked, the more traffic you're going to get. The lower you're ranked, the less traffic you're going to get. And so we as business people want to be pushing our content up, 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 up. All right. Have a good day. Reach out with questions.